Welcome to the Vault XL. 3 days, back-to-back shootings. Monterey Park, and now half Moonbay, California. And I'll also bring you content to another shooting at a school. This is the said information. A deadly rampage by a 67-year-old suspect in Northern California was likely an act of workplace violence, authorities said on Tuesday, offering fresh details about the second in back-to-back mass shootings that killed 18 people and horrified the nation. In two separate shootings within 3 days, 11 people were killed at a Los Angeles area dance hall, and 7 others were murdered at 2 farms in the seaside town of Half Moon Bay near San Francisco. Isn't that an interesting name? Half Moon Bay. Authorities said they still were trying to determine the motives for both shootings. Preliminary evidence indicated that the massacre in Half Moon Bay was a case of workplace violence and that the gunman had used a legally owned weapon. In the Southern California shootings, officials have declined to make any statement regarding a possible motive. The suspects in both attacks are men of retirement age, much older than typical perpetrators of deadly mass shootings that have become routine in the United States. On Monday, a gunman in Half Moon Bay opened fire on employees at Mountain Mushroom Farm, where he had previously worked, and Concord Farms about a mile away. The suspect, 67-year-old Chun-Li Zhao, was taken into custody later after he was found sitting in his vehicle parked outside a sheriff's station. Interesting. Authorities said they believe he had come to surrender. He killed 7 and wounded 1, and all of his victims were Hispanic and Asian American, San Mateo County Sheriff Christina Corpus told reporters on Tuesday. All of the evidence we have points to this being the instance of workplace violence, Corpus said. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Zhao had threatened a co-worker in the past, according to court records obtained by the San Francisco Chronicle in 2013. A roommate and colleague at a San Jose restaurant sought and secured a restraining order after telling a judge that he had assaulted him and made death threats, and the newspaper reported on Tuesday the court order is no longer in effect. San Mateo County Jail listed pending charges against the defendant as deliberate and premeditated murder, attempted murder in the first degree, and discharging a firearm with enhancement for most violent felonies. He's expected to be formally charged on Wednesday and was due to make his first appearance in court at the Hall of Justice in Redwood City at 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday. In a statement on Tuesday, President Joe Biden renewed his call for Congress to ban assault weapons. Even as we await further details on these shootings, we know the scourge of gun violence across America requires stronger action, he said. News of the Half Moon Bay shooting broke as detectives were still investigating the Saturday night shooting at Star Ballroom Dance Studio in Monterey Park, just east of downtown Los Angeles, which occurred in the midst of the predominantly Asian American city's Lunar New Year celebrations. Authorities identified the gunman as Hu Can Tran, 72, and said he fatally shot 10 people and wounded 10 others at the Star Ballroom. Wow, he's older. Where he was a frequent patron. An 11th person died in the hospital from their wounds. Tran then drove to a second dance hall nearby, but was unable to inflict further damage because the club's operator wrestled his weapon away. He fled in a white cargo van. Police cornered him about 12 hours later in Torrance, south of Los Angeles, and then he fatally shot himself. By the time the Los Angeles County coroner released the full list of Monterey Park victims on Tuesday, tributes from relatives and friends were pouring in. Many victims were regulars at that dance studio, a haven for locals looking to exercise and socialize. In a statement, the family of Valentino Marcos Avera remembered the Filipino man as a loving grandfather and the life of the party. Interesting. Among the 11 victims were 2 fishermen from Taiwan, according to the Taiwanese consulate in Los Angeles, the multiple Chinese citizens, according to the Chinese consulate. It ranked as the deadliest mass shooting ever in Los Angeles County, according to Hilda Solis, a member of the County Board of Supervisors. By comparison, the 1984 massacre of 21 people at a McDonald's restaurant in San Diego stands as the greatest loss of life from a single California shooting. The two latest shootings were also notable for the age of the suspects, one in his late 60s, another in his early 70s. A database of 185 mass shootings between 1966 and 2022, maintained by the nonprofit Violence Project, includes just one carried by someone 70 or older, a retired miner who killed 5 people in Kentucky in 1981. Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna told reporters on Monday that investigators had collected 42 bullet casings and a large capacity ammunition magazine from the dance studio. He said a search of the suspect's mobile home in a gated senior living community in the town of Hemet, 80 miles east of Los Angeles, wow, that's a nice little ways, turned up a rifle, electronic devices, and other evidence to indicate that Tron was manufacturing homemade weapons silencers. Police seized hundreds of rounds of ammunition from the dwelling and a handgun from his vehicle. Monterey Park Police Chief Scott Wise said that investigators were looking into unconfirmed reports that the violence may have been sparked by jealousy or relationship issues. Oh, wow. What in the world are we talking about here? 2 older men shooting. The last one in Half Moon Bay, possibly work-related. Very sickening. This man went to 2 different farms. So I'm assuming they are connected or owned by the same party, same entity. Then days ago, we have an elderly man shooting up a dance hall and then made way to another one where it is alleged that a gun was wrestled from him, from a younger person, Asian male. This is ridiculous. Is this the new norm? Has shooting people out of vengeance, anger, bitterness, rage become the new norm? Would you consider this a copycat? Well, this older guy, he shot up some people. Hell, I'm mad too. Let me go shoot up some people. What are we talking about here? Very scary. And just the name itself, Half Moon Bay. Sounds like the cover of a romance book title. Where are you going today? Oh, we're going to Half Moon Bay for wine and cheese near San Francisco, wine country. Unfortunately, somebody was baying at the moon to exact this horrible crime. Wolf in sheep's clothing. You also hear in the Monterey Park situation, the grandfather, allegedly a nice guy by this one person who's giving commentary. But he wasn't too nice the other night to go up in a dance hall trying to shoot people. Now, there was a rumor that possibly he wasn't invited. Well, if he wasn't invited, how did he get in to shoot the people? Because even if I have you on a list as a person I don't want in the establishment, how would he been able to get in to shoot the people? So somebody had to have let him in, and obviously they don't have metal detectors, such as this workplace on a farm. No metal detectors there. And I'm sure there are many farms that have employees don't have metal detectors to check the patrons and workers for firearms. This is bad. This is really, really bad. Did each exhibit any type of violent behavior beforehand? Threats of violence toward anyone minutes, hours, days before killing these people? You hear in the last installment pertaining to Half Moon Bay that this guy has some issues with an employee, and also there was a restraining order pertaining to a roommate that was not in effect at the time of the killings. Who are these 2 men? Both older Asian men. Don't you find that interesting? And we do know that California has a lot of Asian and Hispanic people, for those who may not know that. But what are the odds 3 days apart? 2 elderly Asian men go on a shooting rampage. What the hell is going on out there in California? What's going on in our great nation? That people are becoming so angry and infuriated with people, they just decide to take a weapon inside of a business and shoot people. Possible incel over here mad. This is disgruntled high schooler, disgruntled young adult, disgruntled this person, that person. Everybody's angry. Well, guess what? We all have problems. We're all frustrated, fed up, pissed off, agitated, been betrayed, lied to, stolen from, assaulted, sexually assaulted, verbally abused, physically abused. Everything that you can name possible in the dictionary has been done to man and woman and child. But we don't get up and go get a rifle, gun, knife, stab kids in a house, shoot up a dance hall, or go to the workplace and shoot up the damn farm. Days it may even cross your mind, but you don't do it. And that's the difference. Gonna bring you said commentary from CNN News. Thank you for joining me. One moment, please.
California, this time in Half Moon Bay, about 28 miles south of San Francisco. 7 people killed at multiple locations. At least one other person is critically injured. A suspect is in custody, and San Mateo County Sheriff's Office had identified him as 67-year-old Chun-Li Zhao, a Half Moon Bay resident who they believe acted alone. The motive is still unclear. I want to bring in CNN's Camila Bernal for the very latest. Camila, I mean, it's hard to believe we're talking about another shooting in California, this time in Half Moon Bay. What can you tell us?
So we know that it is one shooter who went to multiple locations. This happened at around 2:22 local time this afternoon, and we were told that the suspect went to the first location and shot 5 people. 4 of them killed at that location, 1 of them critically injured. Then he went to another location about a mile apart and he killed another 3 people. Now, we had been told that this was a mushroom farm. Authorities are calling it a nursery. In general, it is an agricultural area, and police had not made an arrest until about 4:30 in the afternoon. That's when this suspect was spotted at the sheriff's substation. Now, we know that it was a plainclothes officer who saw this suspect, who saw the car that they were looking for. And I was speaking to my colleague, Josh Campbell, who pointed out this was not the massive SWAT team operation that we saw in Southern California. This was an officer who you see there wearing a tie and taking this man down and arresting him. But Josh Campbell also pointing out that they did not seek cover. They were not hiding behind cars. Instead, they thought that this was an arrest that was safe enough to make at the moment. We know that he was taken into custody. They recovered a semi-automatic handgun after this arrest. We know he is cooperating with authorities. The DA's team is interviewing that suspect at the moment, but we know he acted alone. Authorities saying there is no threat to the community, yet they have not given us a motive. They are working on it, but so far they say they do not know why this happened.
Do you know anything about him in particular? We don't have the motive yet. We have his age, there's the picture. Anything we know about him in particular?
So we know he is a Half Moon Bay resident, and authorities believe that he was an employee at one of these nurseries. We also know, according to authorities, that they believe that the people he killed were also employees in this area. Again, 67-year-old resident of Half Moon Bay. He is in custody. Authorities are speaking to him at the moment, so hopefully we get more clarity on why he did this.
Well, thank you so much. I want to bring in now Assemblymember Mark Berman of California's 23rd District. Assemblyman, I mean, such a tragedy, and it's unbelievable to think about the pacing of such tragedies, but how is your community grappling with this tonight?
Laura, thank you for having me. There's shock. There's shock and disbelief that this happened in Half Moon Bay in such an idyllic part of San Mateo County of Northern California. And I'll tell you, at 222, or just before 222, I was on the steps of the California State Capitol with my colleagues for a vigil for the Monterey Park victims. And then I made my way over to my office, and I see on social media that there was a mass shooting in my district. And so it is happening far too often, and communities are scared. And we're going to do everything that we can to support them, tonight and in the days, weeks, and months ahead.
No one ever thinks it's going to happen in their hometown, but with the rise and the prevalence of gun violence in this country, has your community developed, or the law enforcement collectively, had there been training or a plan of some case in case this were to happen, and you had to adjust to that cold reality?
Yes, and we're very fortunate. San Mateo County is one of the best run counties in the state. And they have, as we saw in the video, a remarkably professional sheriff's department that covers Half Moon Bay and covers the coast side of San Mateo County. And they were able to apprehend the suspect quickly and without any more death to anyone else. But I had a couple of school classes up in the Capitol last year. And when I asked them, what's the one thing that you'd like to change in your community? There were two different groups. In the first group, these were fourth grade students, 10-year-olds. In the first group, the first thing they said was no more shootings in schools. The second group, the third thing they said was no more shootings in schools. I wasn't dreaming of that nightmare when I was a 10-year-old. And so it unfortunately has really permeated every aspect of society, and we need to do more to protect our communities.
I mean, you talk about children. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, and to know that part of their school day at some part during the year has to entail having what we used to have as a fire drill. They have to have active shooter training or a kind of response. It really is unnerving, to say the very least. But they're also, I understand, children at the scene. This was not at a school. What do you know about the presence of children at this shooting scene?
Yeah, it was farm worker housing, and there are we have a lot of farming and agriculture on the coast, and farm worker housing where the whole family lives, and one or two people of the family maybe work on the farm, but everyone else, including children, live there. And so it's tragic. It's tragic to think, that, and we're still learning details about the victims, but that we can only assume that mothers and fathers and sons and daughters were killed far too soon, and the fact that their own families were nearby, it just makes it that much worse. So it's really a senseless gun violence that we have in the United States that's so different from anywhere else in the country.
Do you happen to know why they believe this was targeted? And they don't have the motive or this precise motive, but any indication as to why they believe it was targeted?
I don't know yet, to be honest. I'm sure that information will come out soon, but I don't know.
We'll have to see what's happening as this all unfolds. I mean, just thinking about as you said, being on the Capitol, just honoring as a vigil the loss of life in another community, only to have it happen on your front door. Thank you so much tonight. Thinking of your community.
Thanks so much, Laura.
I want to bring in former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey is with us here as well. A lot happening as we get the information, and it truly is unfolding. I want to begin with you, Sergeant Dorsey, because you've got two mass shootings, frankly, days apart in California. Monterey Park was one, now Half Moon Bay. Why has this become so common? And do you think, as our colleague earlier spoke about, Charles Ramsey, that there's a fear that people may become desensitized to what's been happening?
I think we're already there. And I wonder if in the instance of this shooting in Half Moon Bay, if this is like a copycat. I mean,
yes,
obviously there was a lot
true.
of press about what happened here in Monterey, California. It was an Asian man who victimized other Asians, and now we have something very similar in Northern California. Is this someone who's been stewing and brewing and had angst over an issue and decided, you know what? I think I'm going to do that very thing that we just heard about in Southern California. Sometimes, I know that there's a reason why the news puts information out there, but I wonder if we really need to know every single thing that occurs.
That's an important point, and our colleague of mine, Shan Wu, earlier was just speaking about this, Andrew, the idea of not immediately discounting the possibility of hate crimes simply because the person is of the same race of some of the victims, that there could be the same type of animus, gender-wise or otherwise, race-wise and beyond, that can't be discounted. But to Sergeant Dorsey's point, the availability of information, the need for transparency, at least in the consuming, court of public opinion, do you think that that can at times weigh against the ability to stop crimes like this?
That's hard to say, Laura. It's totally understandable that communities are looking for answers to questions like what motivated this person to commit this horrible act. It's a way of understanding or assessing future danger. Is there something else out there that we should be worried about? We want to kind of be able to categorize these things in our own mind and kind of put them into a particular box in terms of the way that we understand them. And so the thirst for information to understand things like motive and intent is really never ending. However, that leads to the sort of coverage that we're doing right now, that we did over the weekend, that we always do around these events, that could in fact serve to draw more attention to these individuals and to their methods and their equipment and their guns and everything else. So it's really hard. We're in a very tough spot in terms of trying to bring people the information they reasonably seek, but also trying to assess whether or not that's ultimately harmful. It's I think it's the answer to that question is way beyond me.
All right, everybody. CNN News is the source. Have we become desensitized to violence? We hear it so much. It's no big deal. Shooting over there, beating over there, stabbing over there. As I've said before, when discussing the Idaho 4, people are murdered every day. Singular, plural. Some make the news nationwide, some do not. But the more they shoot in one setting, 9 times out of 10, it will become a national story, such as Half Moonbay, California, and Monterey Park, California. 2 older Asian men exacting rage on their community. Why? Each motive was possibly different than the other one. Copycat. Hey, he did it, I'll go do it. Are we in a copycat type world where one person does something, you watch, you decide to emulate him or her or them to make a name for yourself? But then one would say that's idiotic and ignorant. Who wants to give up their freedom just to have a name for him or herself? You're going to probably die in prison or die by a needle. So is this what you want because you're angry? This is the exchange. You're going to get the death penalty for killing all these people or life. Then you're already old, so you're going to die probably within 10 years or so or less in there. All for what? Because you were bitter, you were angry, you were mad. Somebody pissed you off. You got anger issues. You're jealous, envy-hearted, loathing others. Somebody said the wrong thing. People picked on you. So what? Big deal. We all have been talked about. They talked about Jesus, as old black folks would say, church. They talked about Jesus, hung him high. But guess what? He got up on the 3rd day and showed them who was the head knocker. See, that was the whole point of the resurrection. Show you. Everything is not as it seems. That even in the most vile, disgusting manner, stoning a man, hanging him to the cross, he got up on the 3rd day to show you why he endured what he did for our sins, for those who believe in Jesus. So that's how you need to walk. Walk by faith, not by sight. That's what these people are doing. They're walking by sight, watching everything that's making them sick at the stomach and upset, instead of saying, I got faith at 67, 70. Things don't look good, don't sound good, but that's okay. I got breath. Let me find me something worth living for. Why in the world would you ever give in to the devil at 70 years of age? This is ridiculous. There's children dying sick with cancer. St. Jude's wishing they could feel good, skip about, move about. And you're 70 and you want to give Satan all of your time? You want to kill some kids to make a name for yourself? For what? For what? More commentary. This is sad. This is utterly sad. CNN is the source of this information. Please check out the Chris Thorne Show. He's the voice for our children. Amen. The Laundries and their attorney, Steve Bertolino, are being sued by the Petito Schmidt family, uploaded 3 hours ago by WFLA. Steve Bertolino has now been added to the lawsuit with the Laundries, in case you need that update. Movie suggestion for the week, number 2 is Rebecca, now playing on Netflix. This uploaded content came to Netflix 2 years ago. Please check out the movie. It's very good. It is a period movie set in the 1930s. The original was done in 1940. It is an Alfred Hitchcock movie. And I also have it posted to my community board if you'd like to watch it and cast it to your TV. Rebecca is the title of both movies, older version and the newer one. The newer one made by Netflix. Thank you so much for following the content. Please check out my content of Lori and Chad Daybell and Mr. Brian Koberger and evidentiary material and the new evidence release video uploaded yesterday. Please take the polls on my said page. Also, Jacqueline and Giselle are to go to court tomorrow to see if their lawyers will be ready for trial next Monday on January 30th. Bringing you all updates pertaining to latest news and also posted on my community board is the man who disarmed the Monterey Park shooting suspect. He is now spoken to GMA. Good Morning America. Yes, 2 movies this week for your entertainment. No One Gets Out Alive, number 1, Netflix, and number 2, Rebecca. There's been another shooting. I'm going to bring you that said commentary. Thank you for joining me. You are now listening to The Vault XL. Amen. Join me live later today with Miss Tracy from Knoxville's Big Steppers. She will be talking about dating younger men. We will have a very grown woman conversation. If your ears are not accustomed to certain type of conversations, this conversation possibly will not be for you. Just saying. Okay, here we go. Inside Edition is the source. 2 teens dead and man injured in school shooting. Uploaded 2 hours ago. Thank you for joining me.
One can say
2 teenagers are dead and another person is in the hospital fighting for his life after officials say someone opened fire inside this alternative high school in Iowa.
there is little one can say that will lessen their pain. Nothing that can be said to bring them back. Those who were killed so senselessly.
The mayor of Des Moines says he spoke with the families of the 16-year-old and 18-year-old victims. He also says the third person who was shot was the director of the school called Starts Right Here.
And fight as hard as possible to make a change.
Will Keeps is in the hospital and the community is praying for his recovery. Keeps is a rapper and activist.
The dude got it going on. He got a studio, everything in there for the kids. For them to come in there and act like that.
This parent tells KCCI News he rushed to the scene after his daughter called to say she was inside the school when the shooting started. Police arrested 18-year-old Preston Walls and charged him with first-degree murder, attempted murder, and gang participation. Published reports say 16 minutes before the shooting, he cut off an ankle monitor he was wearing as part of a pretrial release condition in connection with a previous weapons charge. The incident has left the whole community in shock.
these are supposed to be our safe spaces. And this school in particular is one that the police department works very closely with. And the school is designed to pick up the slack and help kids who need help the most, the ones who aren't getting the services that they need for a variety of different reasons. And to have it happen here is just it's going to be a horrible impact on the community.
Walls' bail was set at more than $2 million. He has not entered a plea to the charges against him, and he's scheduled to be back in court next month. For Inside Edition Digital.
Inside Edition Digital. If you need verification for the information, all audio is posted to my community board via the YouTube queue. Thank you for joining me. African-American male, 18 years of age, now has forfeited his life to shoot up a school. Ankle monitor bracelet cut off. So basically he was saying to the world, I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to forfeit my own freedom. In exchange, I'm going to kill some people today because I'm mad at the world. I do not know what his charges were for, what was going on with him going to court. He's expected in court next month. So whatever you have to go to court for to have the ankle monitor bracelet will be nothing compared to now killing 2 people and injuring this man who's a mentor to the community, running this alternative school, also a rapper. Prayers that he survives his injuries. See, what they say, no good deed goes unpunished. Can't help people. Can't do right. So see, it doesn't matter where you go. Stay inside. Don't go outside. Don't go to clubs. Don't go to bars. You don't know the day that your number is called. Crossing the street, going to get your nails done, going to a school, sending your kids to school, going to a party, a function. You don't know the day that somebody's going to come in there with a gun and shoot the whole damn place up, and your number is called. So it really doesn't matter where you go. There is no safe place. Don't go here, don't go there. So long as a person can enter in with a gun, all bets are off. And people are becoming lax. You have got to have metal detectors in your businesses. You cannot have people just walking around with weapons. And even with this stand your ground states and a license to carry, that does not mean the people who are able to carry a weapon that they are mentally stable to carry a weapon. As you heard with the one older man, he's licensed to carry. So this is a problem. So what? You're licensed to carry. A lot of people, like to beat that in the ground as well. Oh, I'm licensed to carry. He's licensed to carry. So what? Your mind ain't licensed to carry. How about that? You ain't mentally stable to be carrying a damn gun. And we've seen this so many times with law officials. They don't have any business with guns. Then you got regular civilians with guns. And as soon as somebody says something to them out of the way, they want to pull their damn gun out. Well, that means your ass can't fight, as they say in the street. You can't fight with them fists. You don't need to be carrying no damn gun. That's really why a lot of people carry guns. I'm going to say it, because they're not fighters. And I'm not trying to invoke violence, but there are a lot of scary people who don't like fighting, especially men. They won't bust a grape. I'll carry a gun. That's how I'll settle my score. I'll go get a gun. But you're not mentally strapped to carry a gun. Because you're shaky, and anything that you don't like, you won't have any problem pulling the trigger. That means you don't need to carry a gun. You pop off easily. You get angry easily. You do not need to have access to a weapon. And that's the gist of this story. People are given guns because they don't have criminal backgrounds, felonies. But that does not mean they're mentally stable to carry the weapon. So you have all kinds of people now walking around with guns, wannabe gangbangers, wannabe thugs, licensed carriers, children playing around in their parents' house, digging through their personal effects, taking their weapons to play with, carry to school. You just heard that a while ago, a 6-year-old shooting a teacher in Virginia. The parents aren't locking up their weapons, aren't hiding them, not putting them in lock boxes. It's just a bunch of irresponsible people walking around with access to weapons. And you damn right, your ass should go to jail if your child gets your gun or rifle. Hell yes. No explanation, no excuses. Your ass deserves jail time. I'm going to show you better than I can tell you. We got to school you on how to be a good parent, a decent parent, a responsible parent. We'll put you in jail and we'll give you time to think about why you should have had your gun locked up. Why you shouldn't have had Pookie Ray Ray in your house with a gun and your child got a hold of the gun. I brought you that content the other day, playing a video, or I was watching it rather, one of these shows. They go to the house. I posted to my community board if you want to check it out. People calling about a kid walking around outside the apartment with a gun, pointing it at neighbors. Police didn't have no proof it was true until somebody decided to tell the police, oh, I got it on video. Then they go back to the apartment, go back in, search. It's inside of a desk, inside of a little cubbyhole drawer or whatever. Oh, it's my nephew's, the father says. It don't belong to me. He in there sleep, talking about he been sick and this and that. I don't give a damn about you being sick. You need to watch your kid. The hell is your kid doing walking around while you in the house sleeping? You got a grown person in there, a nephew there with a gun. He probably ain't got no damn license. And everybody doing their own thing while toddlers walking around the apartment complex up and down stairs with a fucking gun. And they got him on video, waving it around and pointing it up to the ceiling and toward his face. I was like, well, look at this. He could have shot his face off. Just imagine had he pulled the trigger. He would have shot himself or shot one of the neighbors. And thank God somebody filmed it, because had they not filmed it, the police would have went on their merry way. Until later, when the gun goes off, then 911, what's your emergency? There's a kid out here with a gun. He just shot his face off. Or he just shot somebody. Too late then. Too late. Now we got these alternative school, black man mentor at the school, running the program, I guess. He's now in the hospital trying to help these little dusty ass kids that's wayward. Yeah, I'm saying it. And some of you kids, y'all need y'all little asses beat too. I said it. Can't have your way all the time. Because what you end up doing, you become like these old bitter ass men shooting up dance halls and the damn farm because you mad at the world. So imagine this, 18 years old, you mad, shooting up people, to grow up to be a 70-year-old mad at the world, shooting people. Do you see the demographics? 18-year-old black kid, 70-year-old Asian man. How sad is that? To be 18, the whole world ahead of you, and you want to go shoot up a fucking school. Now here come a 70-year-old, should be enjoying retirement and living life. You want to go shoot up a damn farm, and the other want to shoot up a dance hall. This world is sick. Let's go back and see if we can get some information pertaining to the Monterey Park shooting. They don't have a definite motive in either shooting. This is still bad. This is bad. Prayers for the students in Iowa. Prayers for Monterey Park and Half Moon Bay. Just the sound of that name sounds, like they said, a peaceful place. Sounds like a Harlequin romance title. Half Moon Bay. But yet there was madness that has descended upon them now. No happiness. Sad world we're living in. Good Morning America's source. Man who disarmed Monterey Park shooting suspect speaks out. Let's hear what he has to say.
Doing this morning?
I'm doing well this morning. Thank you for asking.
Well, I know, I don't know. No one can imagine what it must have been like to confront the gunman as you did. Just can you, in your own words, just tell us what you did, how you did it, and just what was going through your mind as this was going on?
Well, it was Chinese New Year's. We were hosting a social dance party. I was in the lobby. It was late into the evening. Most of our customers already left. I wasn't paying attention to the front door. I was looking into the dance ballroom, the dance floor, and this is when I heard the sound of the front door creaking closing, and instantly followed by the sound of a metal object clinking together as if they were rubbing. That's when I turned around and saw that there was an Asian man holding a gun. My first thoughts was,
And did you?
I was gonna die here. This is it.
Did you recognize him at all?
Then, no, I did not recognize him. This was somebody I have never seen before. He didn't seem like he was here for any money. He wasn't here to rob us. When he was looking around the room, it seemed like he was looking for targets, people to harm.
And how did
This
you
is when
go
he started
about
prepping his
getting the gun,
weapon.
wrestling the gun away from him?
This is when he started prepping the weapon, and something came over me. I realized I needed to get the weapon away from him. I needed to take this weapon, disarm him, or else everybody would have died. So when I got the courage, I lunged at him with both my hands, grabbed the weapon, and we had a struggle. We struggled into the lobby, trying to get this gun away from each other. He was hitting me across the face, bashing the back of my head. I was trying to use my elbows to separate the gun away from him, create some distance. Finally, at one point, I was able to pull the gun away from him, shove him aside, create some distance, point the gun at him, intimidate him, shout at him and say, "Get the hell out of here, I'll shoot, get away, go." And at this point, I thought,
young man, I want to thank you for intervening, risking your life and trying to save the lives of others. But when you got that gun away from him, you should have shot him. Yes, you should have. You should have shot him. You didn't have to shoot him in the head if you were fearing, killing him. But it's all on camera. I don't believe you would have faced any charges in the state of California. But I would have shot him once I got the gun away from him. You could have shot him in the leg, in the arm, wherever. Because he came in there with the gun. You saw he had the gun. You tried to take the gun away from him. So when you were able to get the gun from him, you had every right to take that gun and shoot him. Because in the end, you don't know if he had other artillery with him had he ran and got away. So that's why he should have been shot. But the guy probably was scared. If you never shot a person, I get it. You fear, shooting someone to death. But you were in the death battle. Because when you decided to intervene, you were putting your life on the line. Mainly, he could have shot you on sight when he saw you. And something in you told you something was not right. This guy is looking for targets. Let me intervene. Yes, you should have shot him because this could have turned out totally different had he shot you. Because he could have shot you. You would not be able to talk to Good Morning America. Just telling the truth now. But the grace of God, you were able to wrestle him and get the gun away. Old man had some spunk in him, but he did not win. Amen. Let's finish this commentary. Thank you for joining me.
point, I thought he would run away, but he was just standing there contemplating whether to fight or to run away. I really thought I would have to shoot him if he came at me. This is when he turned around and walked out the door, jogged back to his van. I immediately called police with the gun still in my hand.
And how are you this morning? You said that you were hit, your injuries, I mean, emotionally and physically, as much emotionally as physically, how are you dealing with this, what you went through, Brandon?
After the incident, I was shook. I was shaking all night. I couldn't believe what happened. After waking up, I noticed there was bruising all over my body. My face has a bruise across the nose, and the back of my head has some bruising. I can't believe that this could happen.
You heard the sheriff and other law officials and everyday people calling you a hero.
Yes.
What
Yes,
does that
indeed.
mean when you hear that?
Yes. Well, a lot of people have been telling me how much courage I had to confront a situation like this. But you know what courage is? Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the ability to have adversity to fear when fearful events happen, such as this. And in crises like this, the people need courage, especially the victims, their friends, their families. My heart goes out to everybody involved, especially the people in Star Dance Studio and Monterey Park. I hope they could find the courage and the strength to persevere.
That is so well said for you to feel that way, and I know it's very important for you to get that message out to those here at Monterey Park. Brandon, say thank you. Thank you for the courage that you displayed. A lesson for us all. And please, please do take care, okay?
I will.
All right. Oh, my goodness. We will have more from Monterey Park. We're going to hear more from Gigi Chang. Matt Rivers is here with us as well to talk about the victims at local hospitals. So right now, let's go back to you in the studio with.
Wow, Robin, that bravery from Brandon there truly saved lives. Incredible. We will check back with you in just a little bit with more on our coverage from Monterey Park.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning, America. It's The Source. Thank you for joining me, Robin Roberts. He's shook up. It's very obvious that he's shook up. You can tell it in his demeanor that he was that he is shook up. He's lucky to be alive. I don't know what time it was. I think he said there weren't that many people left. So this guy was just making his rounds, I guess, after he shot the people at the first dance place, dance hall. He's just looking for another dance place or gathering spot. And then you see he's shooting his own people, his own race. Didn't care. What was the point of it all? It's what I'm trying to understand. What was the motive? That is something I'm trying to understand. Let's get a little information from Fox. The 11th victim has now died in the Monterey Park shooting. Thank you all so much for joining me. Live now from Fox is The Source. It's very terrible.
Over the weekend, killing 11 people and wounding 9 others. We have been bringing you the
a lot of people
all throughout the last few days. And
20
that shooter,
people,
as you know, eventually took his own life. Fox 11 LA's Mario Ramirez joins us live now with the latest on that and more on the victims. Mario, as always, thanks for being here.
Good morning, Josh. We're live at City Hall here in Monterey Park, and this is where the community, grieving, heartbroken, they gathered here for a memorial, a candlelight vigil. And for so many in attendance, it was a night to share the heavy emotions surrounding this tragedy while so many are still trying to make sense of it. Now, just outside City Hall, you'll notice here behind me, 11 crosses now in place for the 11 victims. On them, messages of love and condolences to the families. And some of the victim names have yet to be placed on those crosses as we continue to learn more about Saturday's deadly shooting and the victims and families being impacted. But you can see last night the showing of support here for that vigil outside City Hall, a grieving community. Mourners were asked to bring candles and flowers as they gathered in prayer. The death toll from Saturday's shooting rose to 11 yesterday, with officials at LA County USC Medical Center saying one of the shooting victims being treated there died from extensive injuries. And as so many in the community and beyond are still waiting for answers, they came here to show support to the victims and all of the families who lost loved ones. Meanwhile, we can tell you the LA County Coroner's Office has only released some of the victim identities: 57-year-old Ji-Won Yu, 63-year-old Leland Lee, and 68-year-old Valentino Alvaro. Family and friends speaking about two others: a dance instructor, Mingwei Ma, known as Mr. Ma, and 65-year-old Mei Mei Nan, who authorities say was shot in her car before the shooter went on a rampage inside that dance studio.
She was with a dance partner in her vehicle, ready to leave, and she unfortunately did not see the shooter who shot from her window.
He was extremely respected, very beloved, very caring teacher, instructor, extremely kind human being.
Another victim being identified by family and friends, Nancy Liu. Her daughter posted on social media a photo of her dad still in the hospital. He was also shot. She wrote in part, "My mom is gone. She never made it out of that dance studio." We know the names of other victims are still pending family notification, according to the coroner's office. 2 women in their 60s, 1 man in his 60s, and 3 men in their 70s, all victims among those killed in that mass shooting. Now, coming back up here to our shot here at City Hall in Monterey Park, the tributes are expected to continue pouring in today. We've already seen several people making their way here to this growing memorial. We can tell you that Monterey Park city officials are planning a second vigil, that happening here just outside City Hall at 5:30 this evening. Josh, back to you.
And Mario, we have learned a little bit more about the victims who passed away. What do we know about the 9 that were wounded that are there at hospitals in California?
Yeah, well, initially after that shooting, you may remember it was 10 who were killed, 10 who were sent to area hospitals. And unfortunately, yesterday we learned that one of those being treated died. As of this morning, LA County Sheriff's officials say that 4 remain hospitalized, 1 in serious condition, while the others are recovering. So when they hold this vigil tonight, the second here at City Hall, they're expected to have more information, possibly more victim names here as they continue to honor and pay tribute to the victims.
All right, a developing situation there. Fox 11 LA's Mario Ramirez, as always, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, that's Fox. With that information, a local affiliate. What is going on? Why did this man go in here and shoot these people? I don't like repeating rumors until I have some validity to information, because I'd have to retract anything I say as not being factual. But simply, this is domesticated, a rumor, domesticated situation, something about not being invited to the function. Allegedly, the wife was invited, someone said. I do not know if that's true or not, but let's just say hypothetical if that is true. If he wasn't invited, as I said earlier, how did he get in? If you were somebody that knew you didn't want him at the function, how did he get into this place, number one? Then get into the place with a gun. If the wife was there, was she one of the wounded or decedents? That's something I'm curious about. Or is this about something else? I'm very curious. Let's hear from someone who escaped this shooting. And I thought they said something about somebody was in their car. So that's strange as well. So was he just shooting everywhere? Outside and inside? It's very, very baffling information. CBS Evening News is the source.
Community is shaken and still in stunned disbelief. Memorials are going up and a vigil is being held tonight to honor the victims. There's a community that CBS's Ann Yamaguchi grew up in and knows well.
Sorry, it's a bit low content.
When the shootings began. So heard the boom, 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 boom.
Hattie Plum was swing dancing with Jim Goodman inside the Star Ballroom Dance Studio Saturday night when gunshots suddenly rang out.
And then we just lay down on the ground. And then he becomes shoot, boom, 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 boom.
Goodman covered her on the ground with his body, shielding her as a second round of gunfire erupted. Palm says a bullet hit him in the back.
He looks like a white man.
Grazed his foot. Luckily,
there's a picture of this guy. He looks Caucasian, so this wasn't just Asian people in this function. Let me make that clear in this live stream. The picture that are showing in on this CBS broadcast is a Caucasian, older white male. So there were other races inside of the dance hall. Thank you for joining me.
he survived and is still in the hospital.
And he survived.
I own him. He covered me.
He protected you.
He protected me.
He
Yeah.
potentially saved your life.
Yes. If he not covered me, probably I got shot.
Saturday night was meant to be time for celebration in Monterey Park, a majority Asian American suburb just east of Los Angeles. The Lunar New Year is one of the most important holidays for Asian communities around the world, a time for families to celebrate together.
It's about union. It's about starting a new year with optimism and prosperity and good fortune.
Monterey Park's festival, one of the largest in the state, was canceled. Tristan Cabral grew up there and fears that sense of optimism is shattered.
I think we are really strong and we're going to get through this, but it's going to take time. And I think awareness is going to be really helpful.
Dance studios are also significant. Spaces frequented by older Asian Americans looking for exercise, friendship, and joy.
People say, wow, we won't dance anymore.
You don't want to dance anymore.
I want, but so far cannot.
And Adam, you grew up in this community.
Wow.
You were born here. How are people doing?
You know, I don't think anybody ever expects,
Adam Yamaguchi, CBS News correspondent.
So understandably, people are in absolute shock and disbelief. I can say, as somebody who lived here, this is the last place I would have ever expected something like this to take place. And what was once a sort of an abstraction that plays out on television or only happens in cities far away is now a cold, stark reality for one more community that is now forever changed.
I'm sorry for your community and that so many lovely people today. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that. Hit the button too slow. CBS News is the source. There is no safe place. Nowhere. Nowhere is safe. I'm trying to get information to a motive pertaining to this, but I don't think they have one. Let's play this one last content, and I'm going to check out of here before I start my last live for the evening. ABC 7 is the source. Thank you for joining me.
On our breaking news, a mass shooting in Monterey Park. Here's a timeline of how the events unfolded. At 22 last night, the gunman entered the Star Ballroom Dance Studio in Monterey Park and opened fire there. At 10:39, the suspect then went to a second dance studio, the Lili Ballroom in neighboring Alhambra. But people there were able to disarm him before he got away in what was described as a white van. Then by 11 a.m. today, authorities tracked that van to Torrance, where after a short standoff, deputies found the man dead. He shot himself.
That suspect now identified as 72-year-old Hu Can Tran. In all, 10 people were killed, 5 men, 5 women. 10 others were hurt and rushed to several local hospitals. Their conditions range from stable to critical. Investigators trying to figure out motive, not discarding any possibilities yet. And we have live team coverage. Our reporters are fanned out at the 3 different crime scenes across Southern California. We begin with Carlos Guarda live in Monterey Park, City Hall, where officials provided an update just a little while ago. Carlos?
Well, David, as you said, they identified the suspect. As you said, his name is 72-year-old Hu Can Tran, and that's really about all that we know about him. There are no other details and no motive, any kind of details of why he would have done this, although the sheriff says that's the question that they all have right now. Now, we did learn a little bit more about how it looked at the scene when the first officers went in. It was actually Monterey Park Police, and the chief of Monterey Park Police said that these were some of his youngest officers. And when they went in, it was, quote, chaos. They came upon a scene, he described it, that they were not prepared for, and that it was extensive. So that is something that he is talked about that this is what they first encountered when they went in there. We all know this started as a night of celebration for the Lunar New Year when the gunman opened fire at the Star Ballroom Dance Studio here in Monterey Park. The sheriff says it was not an assault weapon. It was described as a magazine-fed semi-automatic assault pistol that had an extended large-capacity magazine, and he does not believe that that was legal in the state of California. Now, after the first shooting, Trent then went to a second dance studio, the Live Ballroom in Alhambra. Police said at that location, 2 people fought with the suspect. They were able to take away at least one of his weapons. He then got into that white van and took off. Authorities tracked that van down to the city of Torrance, and that's where there was a long standoff with SWAT. According to the sheriff, there was a single gunshot, and then when the sheriff moved in, they looked inside, and apparently that suspect was dead of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound.
I can confirm that there are no outstanding suspects from the mass shooting incident that occurred in the city of Monterey Park. And although that closes a portion of a very long day for all of us, the investigation is still ongoing. Sheriff's homicide detectives are working around the clock, gathering additional information and working on determining the motive behind this extremely tragic event.
And no information yet about any of the victims, but they did say that they're probably older folks, 50 to 70 years old, some maybe even older than that, and they have not released any names as they still notify family members. Reporting live from Monterey Park, I'm Carlos Scott at ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Carlos, thank you. And we continue our live team coverage with Eyewitness News reporter Christian Cordero. She is in Monterey Park, where the community is in mourning. Christian.
Yeah, we're not too far, David, from where Carlos is, Garfield and Garvey, and really right between where that Lunar New Year festival was taking place and then where the mass shooting took place and everything changed. You can see those lights in the awning. That's a market here. Right behind that is the Star Dance Studio, where 10 people were killed and another 10 were injured. Throughout the day today, though, we have seen some of the early phases of people reacting to the trauma, the grief that has shaken this community. Some have brought flowers. They have leaned into each other, as this is such a tight-knit community. You know, 65% of the 60,000 people who call Monterey Park home are of Asian descent, but thousands of people from many different cultures came here last night to experience how Monterey Park celebrates the Lunar New Year. We spoke with one young man who lives less than a block away from where we're standing right now, and he was also here to celebrate.
Maybe the 9:13, I finished my home for the next street.
You left the street over?
Yeah, we were here for my home. Maybe 10, 20, maybe. So I took a home, but I don't know what happened. I don't know. You know.
You heard?
Yeah. Maybe 10 minutes. Paramedic, police car.
Tonight was supposed to be day 2 of that festival. Instead, crews cleaned it up and packed it away. Nico, who you just heard from, described what this community means to him and his family. He says just about everybody here speaks Mandarin or Cantonese, with such a predominantly Chinese community. Whether you go to the banks, the grocery stores, or the churches here, he feels, and his family feels, like this is where they can feel safe. Reporting live in Monterey Park, I'm Christian Cordero, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Christian, thank you.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
All right, everybody. ABC 7 News is the source. I'm going to share this community post. Please check my community post for the said information and updates. Prayers to Monterey Park, the community, the survivors, and the victims' families. One moment, please. Thank you so much. Prayers to the community. 65% of citizens in Monterey Park are of Asian descent. That's a nice population of people. I don't know the population of Monterey Park, but predominantly Asian. Dance halls catering to 50 plus individuals, going out to have a good time, learn how to dance, camaraderie with their counterparts, people of the same age or a little bit older. No more now. As you see, nowhere is safe. Why would a person, elderly man, do this? 72 years of age. Let me make sure I clarify that because I think I misquoted the last guy who shot the people at the farm at 70. So we have a 72-year-old in this case who shot these people at a dance studio, went to another studio. Young man tussled with a gun with him in the lobby area, I believe, and he got away, went in a van, shot himself to death. Suspect is not alive. No imminent threat to the community until yesterday. Another area of California has a man shooting up 2 farms. I believe he's late 60s. And he turned himself in at the sheriff's station. This is just baffling. 2 areas in the state of California, one in Southern, one in Northern California, Los Angeles area and then San Francisco area, miles away from one another, no connections that we know of. 2 Asian men, elderly, mad at the world for some crazy reason. You would think once you get to this age, 67, 71, you've conquered bullshit. You're past the stage of letting anything bother you, anger you, to the point of exacting violence. It's not to say that you're not human, that you cannot get angry, perturbed. Of course you can. That is your right. But to go out and shoot people is ridiculous. To go kill some people because of whatever reason. That's why I said I don't know why these 2 went on these rampages. One at a farm yesterday, Northern California, and Southern California over the weekend at 2 dance halls. First dance hall, he slaughtered these people. Some are still in the hospital. One very serious condition. And then attempt to go to the second one at about 10:39 p.m. to try to kill more people. Damn, you just gonna what? Shoot everybody up till the damn doors close. Elderly people. How pathetic. I mean, it's wrong no matter what the age is and you get a gun and shoot people. But these are elderly people trying to have fun. They were actually participating in something fun, something they wanted to do. They got out past dark to go have fun. That's the whole point of life. You risk going outside after dark anyway, because that's usually when the boogeyman comes out. Is it not after dark? This wasn't even the witching hour when he was scrolling the streets of California looking for victims. Goes into a dance hall. In my understanding, he's patronized this hall before. In the content that I read earlier, please go back to the replay of this video. Been there before, allegedly. So why that place? What sentiment did this place hold that would eventually become personal? Mad at somebody that was there, mad that he couldn't go in, mad that what? Can't say he couldn't go in because he got in. So if somebody had a problem with him being there, well, he got in. If we believe that allegation, do not know, so do not quote me on any hypotheses of what actually happened. But it's terrible no matter the motive. Then he tries to go somewhere else, and by the grace of God, a young guy wrestles a gun from him. Could have been shot himself trying to get the gun from him. And like he said, I didn't know what he was going to do. He said he's just standing there because he's caught off guard. He wasn't thinking somebody was going to go toe-to-toe with him. Well, he met his match. There was a young guy that decided that life was more important and he wanted to preserve his life and the lives of others. Amen. Thank you, Brandon. And Brandon is shook up. You can tell in the interview. He looks aloof while speaking to Robin Roberts of Good Morning America. Stunned, I'm sure. Never thought on this fateful evening he'd be wrestling with somebody who wanted to kill people. Now he has to carry that burden around of replaying that night And usually when things tragically happen, you replay it over and over and over until time pushes the memory somewhere back in the back of your mind. And you don't dwell on it as often. And we're going to pray for Brandon, because I'm sure he will never be the same after this incident. Prayers for the young lady who described her ordeal about being there when all this went down. Older white man jumped in front of her to save her life. And he's doing pretty good, I believe. So prayers to him and the other survivors. 11 people gone, snuffed out from another older person mad at the world. You can't make this up. Then we go over Northern California. We got another mad person. Asian as well. The hell was his problem? We will see. He's alive. He's cooperating with authorities. Hopefully he will give them the truth to why he decided to go on this rampage, killing people at a farm, co-workers, ex-co-workers. So what happened to him? He got fired or quit, didn't like being there, wasn't treated well, wasn't carrying his weight at the job. What was his problem? Then I brought you content also of an African-American male, 18, wearing an ankle bracelet at a school, cuts it off and shoots up some people at the school. 2 dead and 1 injured. Older black male who was the mentor at this program, school. Also a rapper. Just everybody's mad. So just imagine everybody gets mad, buys a gun or gets a gun, and just starts shooting people at the Kroger, the schoolhouse, their job, aim out at traffic. Hell, there'll be nobody here. If everybody was allotted a gun, it makes you think of the movie Purge. Between this hour and this hour, we're just going to let the citizens wreak havoc. And then at 7 a.m., everything will go back to normal. Is that where we're heading? Then we'll just get a permission from the government, state officials, to just let us go out here and shoot up everybody, stab up everybody for a couple of hours, and then resume as normal. Because it's looking like that's where we're going to be going. We'll just go ahead and give you damn permission. You're going to do it any damn way. So we'll have a purge. 11 to 7, wreak havoc on thy neighbor. And then check back in if you can. Early a.m. See if you have survived the night. Have we become desensitized to violence? Don't care. It's not my problem. That's not my mom, my dad, my child. Oh, well, catch me on the day when it's, the story's about me. Then I'll care. There's people who have that attitude. As I told you, I've talked to a few men who have that nasty attitude. I ain't worried about California. It's not my problem. Not my mom laying out there. Wasn't my mom in the dance hall. Wasn't my child, my son. Oh, well. You see, that's what's wrong with the world. That type of mentality. That's the type of mentality that shot up the dance hall. That's the type of mentality that shot up the farms. 2 separate ones, if I'm not mistaken. The young boy shooting up the school, same mentality. 18 versus 71, 67. Don't you find that ironic? One has a start in life and forfeit his life, $2 million bail, versus elderly people, 60, late 60s to early 70s, forfeiting their life. One took his life and the other one turned himself in. Each forfeiting their own life, freedom, in exchange to murder people. How is that an even exchange? So you say, I'm miserable, bitter bitch. I'll take out this one, because I'm angry. I'm having problems. Things aren't working out for me. Pookie, Ray, Bubba don't like me. Sheila, Jane, Becky don't like me. Can't get my way. Can't get a promotion. Nobody cares for me. They don't want me anymore. Don't love me anymore. I'm not making enough money. I'm not making enough money to pay my bills. Hate this job. Hate my boss. Hate the employees. They're all going to laugh at me. They're all going to laugh at me. The world's against me. Woe is me. Join the damn club. I'm sick of folks too. How about that? I stay disgusted. Gee, can't you tell sometimes during the live streams? But I don't go shoot up people or stab people. How about that? And I'm not going to prison for no $2 ass person. You got that. That's why I have to stay in my lane and stay to myself. Keep it to myself. Whatever's bothering me. Because I've learned in this life, you can complain till you're blue in the face. 9 times out of 10, nothing gets damn done about it. Yeah, you'd have to do some purging. Because saying something to the person doesn't help. Going over their head, let's say you lived in a work or apartment complex, saying something to the landlord, that don't do no damn good. So you're talking to yourself. This is what I've learned about life. Sometimes it's just best you don't even complain. Just keep it to yourself. Talk to yourself about it, then keep it moving. Because there are people who just don't give a 2 fucks. And that's just the truth. Well, we'll just let them work it out. And this is how people work it out. They go get a gun and they shoot every damn body. And usually they're shooting the people who didn't cause the problem. Have you noticed that? Rarely do they shoot the people they actually have the issues with. Stay woke now. Some may be mad at their boss, but they don't go shoot the boss. They may go shoot up a McDonald's or a dance hall. Mad at a woman or a man, but they go shoot up a McDonald's or a dance hall. See where I'm going with this? Then you have those who, they got a damn problem with the boss, employees, and they do shoot up their job. And don't miss. This is a phenomenon that needs to stop. This shooting up people, because life is handing you rotten eggs. It's not going to fly. This is not the way to solve your problems. Go get a gun. Go get a knife. Butcher people. Shoot up people. You have got to learn how to deal with your problems. As someone once said, you don't know how to cope. Well, I could stare that person in the face today and say, well, heifer, 52 in a couple of days, I say I'm doing pretty damn good. So we live in a world where people tell you sometimes best don't say anything. Keep it all to yourself, boggled up. But look what happens when you bottle it up. Your brain becomes boggled down with your insecurities and your concerns and things that piss you off. Then you lash out and it's too late. I advise everyone to speak up for him or herself, because I think you do feel better when you tell people how you feel. Now, naturally, you do not have to curse them out. You do not have to call them nasty names, but you can just say, hey, I don't appreciate this, and I will not tolerate it. And even if they never change, never stop, that's okay. They know where you stand. And I think a lot of these people who walk around doing these shootings, they don't tell people how they feel. They walk around angry day for day, day for day, day for day. And all it takes is that one little thing to piss them off. Stuck in traffic. Somebody cut them off. Somebody may have said something out of the way. And then that's when they say, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to go get a gun and I'm just going to shoot up anybody on site wherever I want to go shoot them. Bar, club, Starbucks, my job, farm, dance hall. Nah, who cares? This is why I always tell you to speak up for yourself, because the more you hold things in, the angrier you will become. That's just common sense. Now, some people let people talk shit to them, talk crazy to them. They'll never say nothing. They don't think it's no big deal. Oh, it ain't worth saying nothing. Fuck it. There comes a time when, yes, you should say something. Sometimes no, sometimes yes. Just depends. But if vagrantly nasty to you, you have every right to say, hey, I don't like that tone. Hey, I don't like your attitude. And then too, the flip side is that they could exact violence even then. We've seen this with road rage. People filming people in restaurants where the person may say, well, hey, you know, you got my order wrong and I'd like a refund or I'd like this. Then next thing you know, you might have the cashier start talking crazy to you or cussing you out. Or the person gets more angry because they can't get the refund or can't get the order back right. So then they lash out, start talking, acting crazy. See, you don't know what's on people's minds. A lot of people carrying around a lot of baggage, and this is why they act out. I'm not saying it's right, but this is why a lot of people pop off, because they do have personal issues. They do have mental issues. A lot of people are bipolar. A lot of people have antisocial disorders. They are a walking time bomb. So all it takes is that one incident, and then poof, you have this here. 3 separate incidents. School shooting, 2 shootings in California, and then in the YouTube queue, there's another shooting that just took place in Washington. I dare not even open it up. Caucasian male arrested. We have a lot of angry people. We have a lot of spiteful people. And that's the problem. And some of these people were probably good people, but they lost it. Then the flip side is you have those who are just vengeful, possibly like that boy, the 18-year-old black male. He's already been in trouble, cuts the ankle bracelet off. He's already in some shit. Then he goes and shoots up these people at the damn school. You've got to teach your children how to deal with adversity, anger, disappointments. You can't always have your way. You can't have things you desire. You can't go take it from people, beat them up to steal their car or their money or their purse. You have to teach your children how to navigate. And I'm sure a lot of the people who do these type of crimes, they have never dealt with their personal issues, such as anger, disappointments, being dissed, or as I said, just flat out fucking evil. Ain't nobody done nothing. They just mad. It takes all kinds. But what's shameful is to see elderly men this angry and bitter. And usually it's always males that act out. But in this case, they're shocked because you're talking about 2 elderly men, same state, brutally killing people for whatever reason. Prayers to Monterey Park victims, families, the survivors. Also, Half Moon Bay, California. Prayers to those families. And it's hard, I think, to be able to navigate after this because you're going to be afraid to go anywhere after being shot at deliberately. You'll probably have PTSD after this. So imagine being an elderly person now having PTSD from being shot or ducking the gunman. Too late in life to have to be getting a damn mental disorder because of one crazy old person. This is sad. And yes, it was sad for that woman speaking, not wanting to dance anymore. Dance halls will possibly open up again, but she'll fear going in there because she won't want to dance for the fear, I can't see behind me. I don't know who's coming in. See, this is why I said we are still lax as far as gun control. We are lax as far as not having metal detectors in buildings. You can't assume somebody is walking in there with good intentions. Just as he walked in there and shot those people, he could have been a robber. Walked in, locked the door, robbed everybody in there. This happens. They usually walk in groups. Usually younger people do this. But you should have protection because anybody could have walked in there and just laid you down on the ground and robbed you. You have to have metal detectors. Sadly, you have to pay people to guard the door. You're thinking this is an elderly situation. Oh, we don't need an off-duty police officer. We don't need security at the door. But guess what? Yeah, you do. You're taking advantage of just a random person walking in, going in there to dance. Well, that didn't happen. The other people walked in there to dance. Somebody else came in there to kill you. So just like in government buildings, you have security. You have to go through the little metal detectors. You all are going to have to start having those in regular businesses. Boutiques, stores, furniture stores, dance halls, community centers. You're now going to have security for all types of buildings and businesses. You cannot assume everybody entering is there for the right reason. And I know that the smaller communities, such as this here, probably don't have the money to pay somebody for a few hours of people just dancing around, ballroom dancing. But this is a wake-up call. You're going to have to find money to pay for an armed security guard that's licensed, or pay an off-duty cop to not just sit outside in his car and watch, because that's not going to help. You need somebody patting down grandma and grandpa coming into the damn facility. Some might get offended. What are you checking me for? Blah, blah, blah. I'm checking you to make sure you don't come in here and blow our damn brains out. That's why I'm checking you. You either get checked or you can't come in. That's everywhere. Business, store, wherever. Church, same thing. Metal detectors, even in church. Security at church. Sit in the parking lot, one at the door. All entry points. See, we take things for granted. Oh, they're coming to praise the Lord. No, everybody ain't. How many instances have we seen where the person came into church and shot the people in the church or the mosque? Because you're thinking the people are coming there to hear the word. Well, they're not. That's an assumption. That's what happened at this dance hall. Oh, they're old people that are coming to dance. Well, somebody came in and didn't want to dance. And the sick part is that he went to another place where he got disarmed by the grace of God by Mr. Brandon. No other fatalities. And then he went and left out of there and sat in the van and killed himself. Second story, Half Moon Bay turns himself in. See, each person, different mentality as far as how they were going to end the situation. One kills himself and one turns himself in. But they still murdered people nonetheless. Prayers for both communities. Prayers for our children. Prayers that people will now stiffen their protocols for their businesses and stores. No matter if it's a dance hall, dance studio, movie theater, school, government business, Target, Walmart, boutique, mom and pop shop, restaurant, you all have got to have security. You cannot assume somebody walks into the mom and pop restaurant or the McDonald's that somebody is just coming in there to buy food, use the restroom. There's somebody who will definitely come in there and shoot everybody on sight. And the reason will never matter, because there has to be some type of protocol for entering businesses, people returning back to a business. I remember last year, under a very stressful situation, I went to a business looking for somebody to handle some personal business, to see where they allegedly said they worked. The sick part of the story is that somebody opened the door and let me in, which the entrance was into like a lunch area. I was able to sit there and watch the people come and go. And the door several feet from me was the floor where the plant was. And a guy comes out to speak to me. We talk briefly. But the point I'm trying to make is that I was led into a place where I could have shot people in the lunchroom if I wanted to. And then beyond the doors was the actual plant where they did the work. And I could have easily just pushed the doors open and walked in there. That's how easy it would be for somebody to come in and shoot everybody on sight. Just as easy as I walked in this business. Sat in the lunchroom waiting to speak to a supervisor. He comes out. I could have easily said, I ain't gonna wait on him. I'll just walk on the plant floor, look around and see what I'm looking for. Do you see where I'm going? No protocol. Even though the door buzzes in, the initial door that I went in that went directly into the lunch area where they would, sit for their meals. The point is someone opened the door for me. Saw me standing there, just open it, let me in. You didn't know who I was. You didn't see me wearing a badge, a work badge. Just let me in there. I could have shot everybody coming and going. Then push those double doors open to the plant. See, this is what I'm talking about. No fucking protocol. Then he takes me around the building, tell me to go back out, meet him around to a business office so we could sit and talk. And still, you now letting a stranger into a private area where there are offices. Do you see how crazy this is? Didn't know me from a can of paint. All because I was looking for someone who worked there, allegedly worked there, let's say. And these people have let me go from one room to the next, not even knowing who the hell I am. Didn't even know if I had a weapon on me or anything. Now, what if I went there to do something to the person and the person was actually there? This is why I'm saying no protocol. They might have cameras outside on the building, but that's not going to mean anything. The fact that Queen was able to get in the building. So if I could get in there, somebody else could have done the same. Or sat in the parking lot and waited on the target. Wait to see if they come in, go out. You have to be vigilant. You have to have people paying attention. You have to have security. Cameras outside, inside. Tell your employees, don't let anybody in the building without a work badge. Parking lot, same thing. Somebody needs to be driving around the parking lot, making sure there's nobody just sitting, waiting, goofing off, stalking. See, this is how people get hurt every day. There are no protocols. Some might say, oh, they're just sitting in their car eating their lunch, dinner on a lunch break. And could be. But how are you going to know? This is why things jump off. Because security is lax in America. People can sit in the parking lot and watch you come and go. People can ask people, does a certain person work here? Do you know what they look like? Have you seen them? They drive this kind of car. All it takes is one person to give the information. Even if you can't get in the building, you can still lie in wait in the parking lot. If they're not, you don't have a attendant that looks at your badge to let you go past the little booth or something. It's just an open parking lot to pull in and park your car. Very dangerous situations. And most businesses are set up like that. Just an open parking lot. You come in, park your car, and then you go into your job. Businesses are going to have to do better. And sadly, the little mom and pop type restaurants, businesses, dance halls, community centers, you are going to have to get security. If you don't have it in the budget, ask the money from the state. And under these circumstances, I don't see the state having a problem with funding security for even little small community centers, YMCAs, things like that. You're going to have to now. Gyms, same thing. Planet Fitness, places like that. Sad. Open the door. You're thinking somebody's coming in to either go to the gym or start a membership. All they have to do is just walk in and just start shooting. We are too lax in our setups of going into businesses. No metal detectors in the entryway. It's got to stop. The protocol has to step up now. Because every time we hear of these shootings, first thing we'll talk about is gun control, politicians arguing with the opposition, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, it's the mindset. I believe in bearing arms, but I also know that there needs to be a mental evaluation before you can buy a gun. And as we've seen with law officials, they take rigorous physical tests and mental evaluations, also with the military, and those same wacko people pass, and now they're in the military, and a sheriff, a deputy, a state police, and a police officer, they don't have no business having access to a weapon. So the flip side of that is you can pass a mental evaluation and be jacked up mentally. So what is the solution? At this point, I don't even know. But I know the protocol for security and businesses need to step up. That way you do come in there, whether you're licensed to carry or not, the business can say, I don't want you in here with a gun. I don't care what the law says. But in this place, you can't come in here with a weapon. You can carry it over there, but you can't come in here with the gun, the knife. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ began to 129 Cash App. All stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. Thank you so much for following the content. Please check out the community board. All said audio is on there with the source. Go back to the beginning of this video to get the said information pertaining to both incidents in Monterey Park and Half Moon Bay, California. 2 separate incidents within 3 days. And also information is in this video from Inside Edition pertaining to an African-American male, 18, that shot 2 students and a mentor at the said school in Iowa. Thank you so much for following the content. Please join me later for a very frank discussion about dating younger men. Miss Tracy of Knoxville, Tennessee. She's the CEO of Knoxville Big Steppers reality show, trying to get it into production this week. There will be an audition here in Knoxville, Tennessee. The Queen has been asked to be a judge for the contestants of this new reality show. Thank you very much, Tracy, for choosing the Queen. I may make a few guest appearances on the show, depending on how everything times out for the fall, for the premiere. If not, I will do my best to be on hands in any form of fashion that the orchestrator wants the Queen to help out. I don't have an exact time, Tracy. I've got to do some things and then I'll be back on. But I will put it on my community board before going live if you don't get a notification. All notifications are in the jurisdictions of YouTube. I have no say in your notifications. Thank you so much for your time. Prayers from Monterey Park, Half Moon Bay, Iowa, Washington State, shooting there as well. Thank you for your time. You have been listening to The Vote. XL.